Hi guys, welcome to another episode of the Armourer's Bench. My name's Matt. Today we're going to take a look at one of John Browning's more elegant designs. Not a military rifle, but a civilian one. This is a Browning, or FN, semi-automatic 22. There are many like it, but this one is mine. It was made in 1959 in Belgium. And in this video we're going to take a look at the rifle's design and we're going to talk a little bit about its history. So let's talk a little bit about the history behind Browning's 22. Browning's semi-automatic 22 was actually his third 22 caliber design. His first was the 1890 pump action and then the 1900 bolt action single shot. These were both made for Winchester, but by the time he came to design and patent this, he'd already been separated from Winchester for about a decade after his acrimonious split regarding the what would become the Auto 5. Browning designed his semi-automatic 22 in 1912, he patented it in 1913 and the patent was granted in 1914. The first company to produce the rifle was actually FN, who produced it very briefly before the German invasion of 1914. Production was obviously interrupted during the war and didn't begin again until after the armistice. In the US, the design was licensed by Remington, who produced it as the Model 24. Production beginning in 1922. It was originally chambered in 22 short only, but it was later adapted to also chamber 22 long rifle. The Model 24 was produced until 1935, when a slightly improved version was introduced as the Model 241. Production of the Model 241 ended in 1949, with sales continuing until about 1951, at which point the design went out of production in the US. It wasn't available again until the Browning Company was formed to import FN manufactured rifles and shotguns, and they were sold under the Browning name. The Browning Arms Company began offering the semi-automatic 22 in 1956, importing Belgian-made guns and selling them under the Browning moniker. Production continued in Liège until about 1976, when production was moved to Japan with the Moroku Company. Browning still sell the rifle today, so now that we've talked a little bit about the history, let's take a little look at the design of the rifle. It's arguably one of Browning's most elegant designs. The lines of the rifle are very eye-catching, smooth, extremely elegant. So we'll take a close-up and we'll have a little look at the rifle and we'll talk a little bit more about some of its features. The rifle uses a simple blowback action. It weighs around 5 pounds or 2.4 kilograms. It's about 37 inches long or 90 centimeters, and it feeds from an integral tube magazine which holds around 11 rounds. Let's take a look at some of the rifle's more interesting features. The rifle feeds from a tube magazine located in the butt, and this can be loaded from a port on the right side of the stock just here. Originally, in Browning's original patent drawings, he had a loading port up here on the wrist of the stock. We can see that here on Browning's original patent, marked 14. This was later moved to the side of the stock by FN, but Remington's production of the Model 24 always had a side loading port. To load, we just remove the tube. We can place the rounds, dropping them into the loading port, and then return the tube forward. To load the rifle, first we twist the magazine follower assembly to unlock it. We then take it out of the magazine tube. Here we can see the rifle's 22 long rifle shaped follower attached to the magazine spring. The follower assembly doesn't have to be fully removed to use the loading port, but it made it easy to demonstrate. To demonstrate how to load the magazine, I'm using dummy plastic rounds. To load the rifle, we're going to push the rounds through the loading port into the magazine. It's a little tricky to capture on camera as you need the right angle for the rounds to drop into the tube freely. Once the magazine has been topped off, the follower assembly can be reinserted and pushed home. The rifle can then be cocked and made ready to fire. As I said earlier, the rifle is extremely elegant, it's very ergonomic, it points very well. Comes up to the shoulder, and the shape of the stock and receiver just make it a joy to shoot. It's also extremely well balanced. If you place 2 fingers just behind the charging handle, you can balance the rifle easily. In fact, there's also some photographs where representatives have it balanced on a single finger if you place it just in front of the trigger, like that. Extremely well balanced. The rifle is also actually ambidextrous, well, almost. The charging handle is located beneath the action. There, we are clear, by the way. But the safety is actually a push-through safety located in the trigger guard. The rifle is also a takedown and can be taken down very quickly and very easily. There is a small catch here which is pushed forward. The bolt is then pulled back a little to allow the barrel to come away from the receiver, and then it is twisted to the left and can be pulled straight out like that. We'll take a look at this in close-up as well. To fit the barrel back together, it's just the reverse, and that slides in, locks forward, and then the retention catch can be pushed forward again. Recently, while shooting, I took a little bit of footage of the rifle in action. Okay, let's disassemble the rifle. First, let's check the weapon is clear. Then we'll begin by removing the barrel from the receiver assembly. First, we push the takedown catch forward, then pull the bolt slightly to the rear. The barrel can now be twisted clockwise to free it. Now we'll remove the bolt and trigger assembly. To do this, we pull the bolt to the rear and push the trigger guard forward. The whole thing will then slide free and can be pulled downwards out of the receiver. Let's take a look at how the bolt and trigger assembly work. Here we can see the rifle's recoil spring, which is held by a guide rod protruding from the right rear of the bolt. Next to that is the firing pin assembly. Here we can see the rifle's extractor and trigger sears. Here we can see the rifle's simple push-through safety. When I pull the trigger, we can see the firing pin go forward. Inside the receiver, we can see the tip of the bullet-shaped follower, and towards the rear, the follower spring protruding from the tube magazine. To reassemble, the process of disassembly is reversed. The trigger and bolt assembly are slotted back into the rifle, and
and the barrel is placed back into the receiver and locked off with the takedown catch.
I hope you've enjoyed this look at one of Browning's most elegant and simple designs. It's certainly one of my favourite rifles. You can find our full accompanying blog for this episode over on our website, armourersbench.com. And don't forget to like, share and subscribe, it really helps. And as always, thank you for watching.